Hello and welcome to the How Could You Forget podcast, a podcast where your hosts Garden, Lexi, and Eric come together and learn about a topic that maybe you'd forgotten about, never heard about, or it's simply too good to forget.
So today I'm going to be hosting this episode of the podcast, and we talked a couple episodes ago about Gwen Stefani's Asian arc, and we mentioned a little bit about the Billboard chart, and a couple of people said that they would be interested in hearing about that, so that is the topic for today. We're going to be talking about the Billboard chart, specifically the Hot 100 chart, because Billboard has a lot of different charts that they do, and we don't have 15 hours, and I don't have enough brain capacity to dive into all of them and the history of all of them. So we're going to be talking specifically about the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
Ah, that's hot.
Yeah, that's hot.
That's hot.
That's hot.
Yeah, I do remember you talking about that in the Gwen Stefani episode, how the rating system and everything has changed and adjusted, and I am intrigued.
Thinking emoji. So do you guys know, before I start, do you guys know anything about the Hot 100 really, other than it exists, or?
I'm assuming there are 100 songs and they're all warm.
Is it only pop music, or is it all things put together?
It is all songs. All songs.
Every song.
So basically
ever.
just like the top 100 songs in the world based on like streaming or purchases or whatever.
You know, I think it's predominantly the U.S. chart, but obviously we'll get into a little bit of that. It obviously includes songs that are from other countries. It's not just U.S. songs, but I'm pretty sure that the chart data is based on what mostly U.S., maybe North America in general. Maybe it's like U.S. and Canada. But yeah, you guys are both right. There's songs. And it is, there's 100 of them every week on this list. And, yeah.
I didn't realize that many songs came out in a week.
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily.
That was a really dumb joke. I'm sorry.
I hate you so much.
I'm like, oh, it's not necessarily new every week. But,
Yeah,
so I
okay.
just want to give a little bit of an introduction. Of course, I utilize the Wikipedia, as well as I use an article by NPR, and I'll link that and reference that when I'm talking about the NPR article. But basically what you need to know for the basics is that the Hot 100 is a database chart relying on the data provided by the Nielsen Sound Scan. And this started in 1991, so they started utilizing this Nielsen Sound Scan.
Nielsen Sound Scam or
Yes,
Scan?
Sound Scan. So they're scanning.
Oh, so it's not a scam.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, I thought you were saying scam. I was
No,
like,
no, sorry.
Where are they
Yeah.
scamming?
Scan, like beep.
Okay, scam makes more sense. Okay.
Yes, and Nielsen is one of the rating companies, I guess. I knew them more from like TV, but they basically are the ones that collect the data on who's listening to music, who's watching TV shows, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like whenever TV Guide was still a thing and all that, and it would say, oh my gosh, you know, 15.1 people watched the finale. 15.1, yeah, only 15 people. 15.1 million people watched the American Idol finale or whatever. Again, that's not a real statistic, but you know what I mean. They're the ones that will compile that and say, yeah, X number of people watched this, or, you know, oh, season 1 had X number of viewers, and then, oh, by season 2, it had completely dropped, you know, to a quarter of that or whatever. That's where a lot of people get their more unbiased ratings, as Nielsen is this third-party company that comes in and does this. So the Nielsen Sound Scan is what helps compile the Billboard Hot 100. As you would expect, it's compiled by Billboard, which is a music magazine. So they do have editorials and different articles and things like that. But the Hot 100 chart itself, it says here, I believe this was from a Reddit user that I will get to later. They said, the Hot 100 does not rely on any form of editorial opinion or quality control from Billboard. The only editorial opinion that factors into the Hot 100 is that of the music consumers and what they just consume. We'll get into a few funny examples, I think, or interesting examples. But basically, even if Billboard is like, wow, we really hate this song, interesting note, more recently, Kanye's album, some of his songs did relatively well on a few of the charts, and even the Hot 100 chart. I think one or two of his songs cracked the top 100 or whatever. Obviously, a lot of people are not a fan of Kanye. I am personally not a fan of Kanye.
He made Graduation.
He did make Graduation. That is a good ass album.
Just gotta remind ourselves that.
Yeah. I don't know if that's heavy enough to cover up what he's been doing as of late. Anyway, we're not going to dive into that. But point being, very controversial person. A lot of people at Billboard were probably like, "Hey, we don't mess with this guy. We don't really want this guy on the stuff." But if millions of people are listening to his songs and streaming his songs, then objectively, people are listening to him. Therefore, his songs are going to be on there.
Be on the chart.
Yeah. Objectively, if it's getting more streams, it should be on there. So, that being said, the chart rankings are based on sales of the songs. So actually going and purchasing that, whether that be on the album or through, it's not iTunes anymore, right? Can you buy things on iTunes anymore?
Is iTunes even a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure iTunes has just been completely phased out for Apple Music. I don't know if you can buy stuff off of there.
Is it not BuyTunes anymore?
It is not BuyTunes, I don't think, unfortunately.
Goodness. It's
I was never an Apple head. So, I know you can buy some of the songs on through Amazon, Amazon Music, and then on the Google Play Store, you can buy certain songs. So I don't know if maybe Apple has something that you can do that with as well. But I've never been an Apple head, so I don't know. But so sales of people actually purchasing the songs, of course, the radio play, and then online streaming. I did find a source that said what sorts of online streaming was included, but that was a source from 6 or 8 years ago, and I'm pretty sure the vast majority of those services do not exist anymore.
Napster.
I saw AOL Radio or something. I'm like, I don't think that exists anymore. I could be wrong.
It would be kind of cool.
That'd be a little bit funny. But so yeah, you basically, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal. I think there's a few other ones in there, of course, but streaming services like that. It is very interesting. The paid versus free streaming also differs or matters.
Okay.
So according to on the Reddit page for r/popheads, great user Ko-fi? No, it's not Ko-fi. It's a user on this Reddit. This was 6 years ago, and this is where the streaming service list was at. So Amazon Music, Apple Music, Google Play, iHeartRadio. I don't think Napster is around anymore. It might be SoundCloud, Slacker, Spotify, Tidal, and of course YouTube. I'm stupid. YouTube definitely is on there. And they listed that as of 6 years ago, and I think this is still the same. Airplay, sales, and streaming, they're weighted together into a formula. And I found the formula from around 2013, I believe. They said that the formula was sales incorporated about 35 to 45% of the score. Airplay is about 30 to 40%, and streaming 20 to 30%. Of course, the percentages can fluctuate. That's why they have little, a range of percentages. So I want to say I think streaming accounts for a little bit more now, because that was the formula back in 2013. I would think it would be worth more. But according to this Reddit post by Ko-fi, it says that for streaming, a paid stream represents 1 point value per play. So 1-to-1, basically, on that. A free stream represents 2/3 of a point value per play. And a programmed stream, so those are like the like Pandora or the AOL Radio. I don't think that's around anymore, but that was a programmed thing. You weren't selecting the songs. You were just turning on pop station, rap station, whatever. And so, you would be listening to whatever was on there. So that represented a half point value per play.
Okay. I mean, I guess that does make sense, at least for radio versus actually picking the song.
Right. And this Reddit post says the Hot 100 today is mostly influenced by streaming, with airplay taking second most influence and sales taking third. So I assume it has changed since 2013 then.
Yeah, I would imagine, since streaming is the way 90% at the very least of people engage with music nowadays.
Oh yeah. So that was kind of the don't want to say the boring side, but that was kind of like the introduction as to
that's the setup.
How it's configured. If you don't know what the Hot 100 is, kind of giving you a little bit of a background before I talk about some of the other things in there. So the cool part about the Hot 100 is that actually hasn't been around that long, really.
Did you say from the 90s?
Yeah, well, in 1991 they started using the Nielsen sound scan. So that's when it kind of became even more objective than it already was. Because, I mean, of course, it went off of sales and things like that before that. And it wasn't, without getting into a 2-hour conversation, it wasn't always the Hot 100. Billboard had other charts. And as music has evolved, their charts have evolved as well. So it's not always been the Hot 100 as the, leading chart. They had other ones, like a bunch of other ones. And we'll get into a little bit about that. So according to NPR, I want to read what they had to say about the Hot 100. And I believe this article, I think that this article is also from 2013. Let's see. Maybe it's a little bit. Yes, it is from 2013 as well. So it's a little bit old. The information is still relevant and interesting. So according to NPR, it said, the Hot 100 was designed to adapt. It is a voracious creature, built to absorb whatever medium is delivering music to the masses at any given time. It's not perfect. Any chart where Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and Missy Elliott peak only at number 2 can't be. So that was their little addition. Yeah. But this chart, designed for the music business and followed by pop nerds like me worldwide, is still the best benchmark we have to measure the bigness of hits. For more than 20 years, from 1970 to 1991, the national syndicated program American Top 40 with Casey Kasem did actually count down the top 40 of the Hot 100. It says for boomers and Gen X pop nerds, it was paradise. But after a 1991 host change and in response to longtime complaints about edgier hits making it onto the chart, example, it says, quote, "Me So Horny." I don't know if I know that song. I tried to click on the link. The video was not available. So we're just going to leave that there.
I feel like, Eric, do you know about this?
I have heard that before, actually. I have heard that saying before. I didn't realize it came from a song.
The only thing that makes me think of is I think that was sampled in Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, that's where I know it from.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
So I guess there was a different song. Again, I guess that was a completely different song. I just thought it was a line from the Sir Mix-a-Lot song, Baby Got Back. I guess
See, I just figured it was sampled from,
somebody
some
that.
kind of adult material or something. That's what I thought it was sampled from.
Didn't know it was a different song.
Adult material.
Yeah.
Liz, I gotta be careful. We're on thin ice after the last episode.
We are.
Right, yeah,
You're so right.
Gotta tone it back.
We are being very factual. So, yeah, in 1991, the American Top 40 radio show, Casey Kasem was no longer the host. So the host changed, and then people were just like, hey, why is there weird songs making the charts? Moral outcry, so to speak.
People listening to weird songs. That's why.
So they switched the American Top 40 chart to a more radio-centric chart, which makes a lot more sense. And according to this article in 2013, it said the current edition of American Top 40 is hosted by Ryan Seacrest, and it uses an unpublished chart with no direct relationship to Billboard. So I don't know if that's even around anymore, because this was over 10 years ago that this article was written. Let me actually look up and see if American Top 40 is even around still. Also, fun fact for everybody while I'm looking this up. Casey Kasem, if you didn't know, was actually a voice actor for Shaggy in one of the Scooby-Doo series. And I think actually a couple of them. So you probably, even if you don't know Casey Kasem from the American Top 40 thing, you probably know him as the voice of Shaggy in many different
The artist?
No.
Oh.
Scooby-Doo. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
I know, honey. That was the joke.
I know. We're not talking about Shaggy. Wasn't me, Shaggy yet.
Yet. Oh, okay. So we're getting.
So
there.
yeah,
Okay.
he was in the Scooby-Doo show, Scooby and Scrappy-Doo, Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster, the Scooby-Doo Where Are You, and Scooby-Doo Monsters of Mexico. So if you are
Why
a Scooby,
specifically Monsters of Mexico?
I don't know. He was just in a couple of the movies as the voice
okay.
actor for Shaggy. That was just the ones that were listed. Anyway,
Can I say something very quickly about Casey Kasem?
Yeah.
It's not my story. Of course, I'm not a voice actor in Hollywood. But apparently there's a running joke for people in Hollywood with Casey Kasem is that he was doing a take when he was doing his like top 40 list, and he has like a very, very unique voice, and I'm not even going to try to do it. But he was doing a countdown one time, and he mentioned the number 2. And because like he was not expecting something on the charts or something to be number 2. And so like there's a running joke where people that are voice actors in Hollywood will say the number 2 like him, and it becomes its own in-joke because he was like, and now number 2, like he says it like very funny. And so now there's like a running Casey Kasem joke about the number 2. So just had to throw that little tidbit in there.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, I'm going to do that every time we say the number 2 now. 2!
I'm like, oh, I get what you mean. Like he was shocked that it was number 2.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is number 2. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, why? Okay, he's just yelling. Okay.
Loud equals funny.
Yeah. Even back in the 50s or whenever he was alive. So.
He was definitely alive from that, but from 1970 to 1991, he was the host of American Top 40. So yeah, the original sort of thing, was American Top 40, was the actual top 40 songs that would have been on the Hot 100 and, all that stuff. And then, of course, they switched over. And apparently, American Top 40 is still around. I don't think Ryan Seacrest is the host anymore. He might be.
I think he is.
He is? Okay. So, yeah, that's still around.
I listened to the radio once, like a year, and I'm pretty sure I heard Ryan Seacrest talk about some random pop song, so.
Okay. Well, there you go. Can't wait till he's like, oh, at number 15, WAP. Anyway.
Number 15. Yeah.
So, one of the other things that the NPR article talks about that I thought was interesting was talking about the top 40 and how it was related to the Hot 100. So, quote from the NPR article, it says, is the top 40 related to the Hot 100? As a term for radio format that plays current popular music, quote, top 40, the phrase, dates back to the early 50s before the Hot 100 chart even existed. But nowadays, when Americans refer to the top 40 as, quote, a list of popular songs, generally they're referring to the first 40 songs on the Hot 100 chart. So
it's the same thing.
So it basically is the same thing now. Didn't used to be, but it is now. So the history part of the Hot 100 was that on August 4th, 1958, Billboard premiered one main all-genre singles chart. That is a lot, but that is important. That's why I said it that way. So, one main all-genre singles chart. So, the Hot 100. And the first song to ever go number 1 on the Hot 100 is a song by Ricky Nelson titled Poor Little Fool. I have never heard this song, but I'm going to send it to you guys, and maybe we could play, a few seconds. Also, the cover art for this, Ricky Nelson has some insane eyelashes. Like, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, eyebrows are on fleek. Or eyelashes are on fleek. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, wow. That looks great. I hope he didn't do things that are, like, terribly problematic now, because I just complimented his eyelashes.
Knowing how the internet works, he probably murdered 3 people in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh my God, he died in a plane crash.
Oh my! Jeez, Lexi, you killed a guy.
No joke.
Oh no,
Lexi, you killed a man.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
No.
Sorry, y'all, for the very...
Wait, was that the plane crash that there were like 4 pop stars in it or something?
I believe so.
I forget. Oh, no.
Let me see.
L.
Nelson and his band, the Stone Canyon Band.
Stone Canyon.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Was it?
It was on New Year's Eve too.
Oh my goodness,
Lexi.
Sorry to take a
killed
sad.
This guy.
No, stop it. He's not even alive. Wow, that's really, really sad.
Well,
okay. Anyway, sorry to be really sad, but Ricky Nelson, as far as I'm aware, did not do bad things that I can see. So eyebrows and eyelashes on fleek. No one's saying that anymore, but eyelashes
face is cool.
Were beautiful. Very tragic way that he passed
Eyelashes
away.
are cool.
So yeah, that was the very first song to go number 1 on the Hot 100, and it was so popular with people that it quickly became the standard. And they discontinued their chart of, quote, bestsellers in stores on October 13th, 1958. So the Hot 100 was kind of becoming the chart that people were paying attention to. So they discontinued a couple other charts. So the interesting part about this is that the Hot 100 didn't really change all that much for quite a while, because music itself and the way the music was delivered didn't really change all that much. You know, of course, they went from records to tapes to CDs, but, you know, that's not really that much of a change other than the physical media, right? But you're still going to a store, purchasing the music, bringing it home, listening to it, and or listening to it on the radio. So
I was going to say the financial transactions of it all are still the kind of same. It's just the different mediums of what you get.
Right. So one of the interesting things is that many of the chart policies have been modified over that time from 1958 until the late 90s, I believe. However, in the late 90s, one of the rules that was still there from its debut in 1958 was that songs were not eligible to enter the Hot 100 unless they were available to purchase as a single. Because remember, the Hot 100 was the all-genre singles chart.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense, because if you're buying media physically, like, they can't track like you know, which songs you skip to on an album or like a record.
Right, yeah. and think about how records used to be. You know, eventually it got to be where you would have the album on the record, but especially 50s, 60s, into the 70s, really. And I don't have an actual statistic on this, but just my parents and then my grandparents, a lot of those records were singles. They were either singles or they were maybe 2 songs. And so, you know, you'd have one on one side and one on the other, or, you know, something like that. So it made a lot of sense that this was a singles chart, because that's how songs used to be. But obviously, as we get into the 90s, and even, you know, 70s, 80s, people were making albums. It's not that people, want to be clear, I know people were still making albums before the late 90s, but for the actual chart, you know, they were selling singles on records or tapes or things like that. So on December 5th, 1998, the Hot 100 changed from being a singles chart to a songs chart. And it says, during the 1990s, a growing trend in the music industry was to promote songs to radio without ever releasing them as a single. It was claimed by major record labels that singles were cannibalizing album sales, so they were slowly phased out. During this period, accusations began to fly of chart manipulation, as labels would hold off on releasing a single until airplay was at its absolute peak, thus prompting a top 10, or in some cases, a number 1 debut. In many cases, a label would delete a single from its catalog after only 1 week, thus allowing the song to enter the Hot 100, make a high debut, and then slowly decline in position as one-time production of the retail single sold out. So, kind of a big brain play if they're like, hey, we can only be on this chart if we're a single, so we'll just take this off the album, release this as a single, and then we'll sell it again on an album. once it actually charts.
Wow.
Huh.
That's actually really clever.
Yeah.
I feel like I do. How long ago was this again?
This was in the 1990s. And then they finally
1990s, okay.
changed. They finally changed it to, it was just a songs chart in 1998. So from, 1958 to 1998, it had to be a single.
Okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I feel like I remember cases of some artists releasing singles for stuff that was already released on an album. I'm not sure why they did that if it stopped being a thing in 1998, but I do remember artists doing stuff like that in the past, and I've always wondered why, like, where the idea even came from, because it seems kind of strange, but that kind of puts it into a little bit of perspective. Maybe they were doing a similar thing.
Right. It's very interesting because we will get to a couple other cases where, of course, people have been accused of manipulating the charts, and then it was like, well, no, they're actually not manipulating the chart, and then the chart changed and all that. So, this change in 1998, the reason why that was done is because they have a list here, and I think this is really interesting because I know all of these songs that are on here. Said during a period it was during this period, so in the 90s, that several mainstream hits never charted on the Hot 100 or charted well after their airplay had declined. So they didn't chart because they weren't singles. During the period they were not released as singles and the songs were not eligible to chart. Many of these songs dominated the Hot 100 airplay chart. So it was showing that on the radios, people were listening to these songs like crazy, but they weren't able to be on the Hot 100 because they were not singles.
Oh.
Yeah. So these songs that they charted on the Hot 100 airplay chart was 1995, The Remembrance, I'll Be There For You, aka the Friends theme song. That was number 1 for 8 weeks.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
In 1996, No Doubt, Gwen Stefani reference, No Doubt's Don't Speak was number 1 for 16 weeks.
Lexi, what's No Doubt?
No.
How could you forget? Sorry.
Do you not have that story?
He got that wrong on our guessing game thing. He was the one that said, don't speak, in the Gwen Stefani episode. And then on the little guessing game of the song, he was like, Avril Lavigne, and I look at him and I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, you are the one that made the Don't Speak reference on the Gwen Stefani episode. And you're saying Avril Lavigne? What?
To be honest,
yeah.
I would do the exact same thing, like straight up. Like I was my
like,
memory is just not a thing. It's like
divorce. That was bad. Okay, so that song on the airplay chart, number 1 for 16 weeks. I have 1997 Sugar Ray featuring Supercat, Fly. That was number 1.
Okay, I do love that song. I did not realize there was someone named Supercat on it, though.
Well, now you
awesome.
know. Now you know.
Woo!
That was number 1 for 6 weeks. 1997 Will Smith, Men in Black. Love that song. That was number 1 for 4 weeks. 1997 again, The Cardigans, Love Fool. Number 2 for 8 weeks. That's the Love Me song, if you don't know.
Yeah. Say that you love me.
Yep. 1998, Natalie Imbruglia, Torn, was number 1 for 11 weeks. And then in
you say it was Corn?
Torn.
Torn, okay.
The Lying Naked on the Floor song,
okay, I don't know if I've heard that. I thought she was singing about corn, but I'm glad that's not.
You might have heard it if you actually.
It's possible I don't know it by name.
Yeah,
but I have heard it.
That's
very
yeah. I didn't know it by name for a long time. And then the last one, 1998, the Goo Goo Dolls' Iris was number 1 for 18 weeks. But then
18 weeks.
Yeah, did not make it to the Hot 100 because it was not a single. So.
Oh.
So. Also, as a part of this, the debates and conflicts occurred more often, and Billboard finally answered the request of music industry artists and insiders to include from music artists and insiders to include only airplay songs or album cuts in the Hot 100, while the retail component was reduced from 40% to 25%. So they were like, okay, we will include airplay only songs if they're not a single, but we're going to reduce the retail component from 40 to 25%. So that way, if somebody's buying an album and they're buying it for this other one song, you can't now dominate the charts with this other song. because you're benefiting from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, it does make sense in that regard to like kind of merge them together so we don't get any funny business of people making singles that aren't singles.
Funny business, Eric.
So
yeah, don't want none of that.
Being a little sassy baka.
So in regard to EPs or extended plays, they were included in the Hot 100 until the mid to late 60s. They had those included on the charts, but then because albums were growing in popularity, they moved the EPs from the Hot 100 to the Billboard 200 where they are today. So EPs do not chart on the Hot 100. So I thought that was kind of interesting because I'm like, man, a lot of artists, and they've changed that, or again, maybe because of the singles or the whatever, there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. All right.
So that was one of the biggest changes that happened to the chart over time. So the biggest change I think that the Billboard Hot 100 has made was in February of 2013. Of course, this was after YouTube blew up. Honestly, we have Mr. Psy, Gangnam Style, to thank for this.
Mr. Psy?
Let's
Mr.
go.
Psy, yes. I actually know his name, but I don't want to butcher it because I am terrible at speaking Korean because I don't know how to speak Korean. So I don't want to butcher
terrible at
it.
speaking.
Yeah.
Me too. So I don't want to butcher it, but Psy with Gangnam Style, obviously taking off in 2012 and 2013. I think it was into 2013. I want to make sure that I'm right about that.
I do remember it was 2012 because I remember distinctly that it hit 1 billion views on the day the apocalypse was supposed to happen.
Ah, okay, yes, yes.
So funny.
So, again, this is not in the article or this is not in the Wikipedia, but this is just me saying that Gangnam Style was released in July of 2012 and was obviously, like you said, hit 1 billion views on the day of the supposed 2012 apocalypse.
Yeah,
so,
like 6 months later, if that.
Yeah. So in February of 2013, Billboard announced that they were going to incorporate YouTube video streaming and streaming in general on the charts. So here it said that obviously got added into the formula because streaming wasn't in the formula before. And they also used Vivo at the time. I think that's since changed because I don't even know if Vivo is around.
I think Vivo, I still see Vivo in thumbnails sometimes. I think it exists in some capacity. I think it's just less, like, very strictly. Like, I know Vivo used to have, like, a bunch of artist channels separate from the artists themselves. Yeah. But I think now it's, like, changed because I've seen the Vivo logo on official artists' YouTubes. So I think their business model might have shifted.
Interesting. Yeah, because it said on the Wikipedia, YouTube video streams that are used in this methodology are official video streams, Vivo on YouTube streams, and user-generated clips that use authorized audio. It says Billboard said this change was made to further reflect the divergent platforms of music consumption in today's world. Makes sense. Fun fact, in February of 2013, once the YouTube edition was made, the first song to reach #1 after this change was made was Harlem Shake.
Let's
due to its popularity on YouTube. So,
I mean, I guess it goes to show when it happened.
Right. Yeah.
Harlem Shake's kind of the defining meme.
And that was kind of the beginning of memes can go,
Very
in the top
viral.
10 on the Hot 100. So then the next change that they made was in June of 2015. This was to change the dates for the tracking. So it says the official street date for all new album releases was moved from Tuesday to Friday. So that's why a lot of new music comes out at midnight on Friday.
Eric.
I actually never questioned why that was a thing, to be honest. Like, I just figured it was
it's
like
the
a
weekend.
tradition almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the weekend.
It makes a
Got
lot
some
of
new
sense.
tunes to bump to. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense because thinking about, I'm shocked they didn't do this sooner. I mean, literally 2015. I'm really shocked they didn't do this in the era of like clubbing and stuff because yeah, everybody going out on Friday and Saturday nights and, new music that just dropped. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. So yeah, moved it from Tuesday to Friday, and then and that basically what that means is people don't have to actually release their album on Friday, but Billboard is going to count it as being released on Friday. So you could release your album on Wednesday that week, but it's gonna count on Friday and start tracking from that Friday until the next Thursday, it looks like.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like you just wouldn't get anything for the first 2 days of the album release if it released on Wednesday then? Like they just wouldn't count that?
That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure, or I don't know if maybe they would count that towards like the next, your sales are not counted in that, like you don't begin tracking until Friday. So maybe if you released on Wednesday, maybe they count your sales and your streams on Wednesday and Thursday and then also Friday, but you don't get to be a part of that previous track week.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Which also, I mean, that's why a lot of people release their music on Fridays, because if they, pop music, if they care about charting on the Hot 100, most of the time I have seen artists be, releasing those albums on really late Thursday into Friday, so that way they can get the maximum amount of tracking points. I don't know what you want to. I don't know if the actual
really
word,
squeeze
but
it out.
yeah,
right?
really make every single moment, every single stream count, not lose any single bit of that. I think that makes a lot of sense. So it says here, I'm just going to read this direct quote from the Wikipedia because this is a whole bunch of days and shit. So as a result of the changes, the Billboard 200 top album sales, genre-based albums, digital songs, genre-based downloads, streaming songs, and genre-focused streaming surveys ran on a Friday to Thursday cycle. Radio songs, which inform the Hot 100, synced to the Monday to Sunday period after formerly covering Wednesday to Tuesday. All other radio charts and genre tallies followed the Monday to Sunday cycle. The move was made to coincide with the IFPI's move to have all singles and albums released globally on Fridays. So,
oh yeah, that makes sense.
All of that to say, they synced them all up so that everybody's would be on a Friday.
Okay.
Which makes a lot of sense. The other changes that were made, these are a little bit more recently. In July of 2020, Billboard stopped counting album bundles with merchandise and concert tickets towards Hot 100 and Billboard 200 chart scores. Under those new rules, which went into effect on January 3rd, 2020, merchandise and album bundles must cost at least $3.49 more than the merchandise, because $3.49 is the minimum price of an album to qualify for the charts. I don't know how they came up with that.
What? Yeah.
But
that's so
yeah,
odd.
it feels kind of. I mean, I kind of get it, but it feels kind of arbitrary. Like that's fair.
Right? Yeah, not just like $5, or something. Yeah, $3.49. I don't know if maybe that's what a single costs nowadays, or in 2020.
$3.48. You're just ineligible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it'd be $3.49. Pretty sure the price is still. I'd be if it's over $2 for a song, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how they came up with that number, but so yeah, they were like, hey, your merchandise or album bundle has to be at least $3.49 more than whatever the merchandise costs. So if you had a hoodie, a hoodie wouldn't be that cheap. Let's see, a t-shirt. You had a t-shirt that was $20. Your bundle has to at least be $23.49 for it to count.
Huh.
So yeah, that's very weird. Although, and I was like, who's even doing this? Oh, apparently a lot of people did. Apparently that was very popular to bundle stuff.
Was that popular during the pandemic because they weren't able to make as much money through like concert sales, maybe?
I mean, it sounds like people were doing it way before COVID.
Oh, okay.
But I would assume.
I've heard of artists. There's some online stores where like you can buy the album, or you could buy like a physical copy of the album with a t-shirt or with some other form of physical memorabilia.
Yeah.
So it would make sense to have something for that if you're adding other incentives beyond just the music itself in the purchase price.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's something that I want to talk a little bit about here in a second of, being a fan of K-pop and stuff. I always thought that album bundles meant that like when people buy like different versions. Like they buy the 3 versions or the 4 versions or however many versions, because some of that got crazy how many versions they did of an album. But
Taylor's version.
No, that's different.
Okay.
That's very different. Yeah. Quick side tangent on that. The Taylor's version is because she's had to re-record those songs because she does not own her masters.
I do know about that whole situation.
That long story short, if you're not a music head or if you're not a Swiftie, I'm not really a Swiftie. I like Taylor just fine. I don't consider myself a Swiftie, but the problem is that her master recordings of earlier albums were sold to somebody else, and she does not own the rights to those. So what she is doing is going back and re-recording those songs and putting Taylor's version, because then that is her version of the song which she owns.
So she makes direct money from it instead of some other person that owns
She
it.
actually owns the rights to that, and she's able to actually put those on albums and do all that kind of stuff with it, because that became a very nasty battle of stuff, and we don't mess with Scooter Braun. Can't stand him. So those who get it,
I remember all of that was going on like back then. So I support her re-recording her stuff, honestly.
Absolutely. So yeah, the whole Taylor's version and re-recording songs, very different than the K-pop trend, and a lot of other companies do it too, but I'm just more familiar with it in K-pop, where like for example, BTS has different versions of their album where you get different photo cards with it. You get different little inclusions or something, but the album itself is typically not different. The album typically contains the same amount of songs, same track listing. It's just kind of the aesthetic of it, I guess, or you get a special little photo card with it instead of a different kind. So there's the distinction there between like versions of an actual song versus album versions.
Okay.
So in 2020, Billboard said, hey, you got to have at least this kind of, requirement. But then in May of 2023, they go, oh, wait, actually, we're going to allow merch bundles back. We're good. We're good. We'll allow those back.
Walked it right back. Okay.
So I think that there is a little bit of a different, it says the Billboard 200 will count some package offerings of music and collectibles as fans seek to support their favorite acts through merch purchases. So this...
Merchases?
So this says for the Billboard 200, I do not know if they have walked it back for the Hot 100. They might have said the Hot 100, you still have to have it be $3.49 more than the merchandise cost.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit odd for the Hot 100, but
yeah,
it just feels odd at all. Like I know that's what we're saying.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, like it's already weird, but it's like having it apply to different charts. I don't know. I don't get it. Seems
yeah. Odd. And kind of this is I was reading from sources there. That source about the merch bundles and things like that was actually from Pitchfork. I'll link that as well. So that was obviously not my... that wasn't me just pulling that out of my old little noggin. That was from Pitchfork. But
old little noggin? Are you 90?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know.
Sorry.
But where my personal opinion does come in is there has been a lot of talk about chart manipulation and payola and all this stuff. And there is something to be sure. There is something to be said about payola and radio charts and things like that. There have been many a scandal.
You said payola. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Did you actually think I said Crayola?
I have one ear on because there may be a man sawing right outside my window.
Oh.
And I'm making sure that when it comes up, I try to be as quiet as humanly possible.
Of course, right? It's been quiet all morning, and then we got to get the saw out when we record.
Perfect. So
there are always accusations of payola. So for those of you who don't know what payola is, it's basically labels and it's really just labels, because I don't really know if the artist directly does it. Labels will typically pay off radio stations, give them different rewards and benefits if they are playing more of a certain artist. Payola is not allowed, by the way. It is not supposed to be allowed.
So nobody does it because it's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
Of course not.
It's forbidden, so nobody does it. I don't really know how. Yeah, I don't really know how many people do that today. I know that radio's changed a lot, and again, that could be a whole nother 2-hour episode. But that has happened in the past. There have been different payola scandals with radio and all that stuff. But as far as the Billboard chart itself, that is pretty hard to manipulate. So they're using the Nielsen sound scan. They're using the streams. And it's usually solid in detecting how popular a song is, even if it's only for a week. You know, something like the Harlem Shake. Like, the Harlem Shake doesn't have a lot of staying power. Harlem Shake got left in 2013. But it was extremely popular for that week or two, or even maybe a month. I'm not even sure.
I think, I do know back in those periods, memes tend to last longer than 2 days. So I think Harlem Shake was relevant for a couple
month
months
or two.
At least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Eric, as proof, the day we are recording this, what is the last new meme you remember? Because by the time this episode comes out, I know that it will be entirely
oh my goodness.
To be honest, I don't even know, because I don't even have, other than like Blue Sky, I don't even have any like social media networks at this point, so I don't know what the memes are. I just look at what people send to me.
I showed Lexi that, speaking of music, Bia Badoo is apparently upset because people were
it's Biba Doobie. Listen,
Biba Doobie.
Love her voice. Love her voice. Little bit of rant. Love her voice. She's so talented. Horrible stage name. I'm so sorry, girlie. I love your music. You are a fantastic singer. You are so talented. I really hate your stage name. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
And before Biba Doobie is like the name of her dead grandma or something.
Oh no.
That would be really sad.
What if that was their real name? What if her
so
first,
talented.
middle, and last
she
name?
Is so talented.
Yes, Biba Doobie Smith.
So talented. Cannot stand the stage name.
She is really good from what I've heard. I haven't gone ever way too much to listen to her music, but she does seem really talented.
But yeah, that was the meme. That
NBA young kid sings better than her or something like that was the meme.
And it's rage bait, yeah.
It's rage bait, yes.
Well, yeah.
But then she took it seriously. That's the whole meme.
I don't blame her. I mean, I'm sure there were people like trying to be mean in her comments and
trying
stuff,
to be mean. Yeah.
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 The last meme I remember, and it's been going on for forever, is I love all the Instagram reels I get of Evil Larry and the cats.
Oh my gosh, Evil Larry.
Yeah.
Evil
Larry in the Pinar explosion chamber. Yeah. Listen, those who get it. Those who don't. You go to Instagram.
I also want to, because it's funnier if I don't.
My wife just in the middle of talking
That's
about
what it is.
Serious stuff and a well-researched topic. My favorite is Evil Larry with the Pinar explosion chamber.
You asked about the latest. I mean, you didn't ask me directly, but you asked about the latest meme, and that's the latest memes. Is the cats.
And Evil Larry will be dead for 9 weeks by the time this episode comes out.
All of a sudden, I see a mysterious figure. Evil Larry.
Evil Larry.
Yeah. Anyway, those who get it. Those who don't, sorry. Back to my actual personal opinion about the Billboard Hot 100 chart. That chart specifically is hard to manipulate. I mean, you can argue that people are manipulating it through radio airplay or things like people using VPNs to try to stream. They've cracked down on that. They do try to investigate that. I do remember people being upset about the chart changes, especially as a K-pop fan. And there were times where I felt like the charts were not as accurate as they should be. But this is when they were changing the things about bundle sales not counting, as well as it was stated that gifting songs to other people does not count either, which is kind of crappy.
How do they determine that? Like,
because if you go to, I assume, like, the Google Play Store or something like that, and you are giving a song to somebody else or you're using it as a gift, then that would not count.
Okay, so it's not something arbitrary, like if you used a gift card or something like that.
No, I don't think it's if you use a gift card, because that wouldn't be very fair, because, imagine someone gave you a gift card and you want to buy a bunch of songs. That's not very fair. I think you specifically, like, select that you are giving a song to somebody else. And so I think that's how they can track it. Again, I don't typically purchase music digitally. If I'm going to buy music, I have bought the actual physical album in stores. So I really don't know how that works. So if anybody in the comments knows and, buys a lot of digital music and, if you're able to select like this is a gift or I'm gifting this to somebody else, I imagine that's how it would go.
Okay.
And how they'd be able to track that. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense though too, because I know that specifically, being a huge fan of BTS, a lot of people were, oh, okay, well I'm giving out these songs, to people because I want to buy these songs. And so it makes a lot of sense that if those were not counting, why certain BTS songs or whoever it might be, that they were not charting maybe as high as what people thought they would. Same thing with streaming, the program stream. So people having streaming parties through, I forget what service that is, but there's a service where you can do like stream parties and things like that. That's going to count for less than an organic, quote unquote, I'm going to YouTube to watch the latest music video, or I'm going to save this on Spotify or Apple Music and I'm going to be streaming it and listening to it because I'm choosing to listen to it and I'm not just throwing it on a radio listening party in the background. So that does make sense to me, at least.
Okay.
But I can understand how that's frustrating for people.
Lexi, I have a quick question for you as well. So for, you might have mentioned this and I might not have, just listening because the man that is literally sawing outside my window. But if for a streaming play to count, if you click on it for like 10 seconds, does that count as a full listen to, or do you have to finish the entire song? Is it percentage wise? Like, that's
a good question. I actually don't know the data on that. I don't know. I don't know how long you have to listen to a song. I've not been deep in the K-pop like streaming thing. I mean, a lot of people, they go absolutely nuts with streaming and calculating it and how long do I have to listen and how many songs do I have to have between this other song in order for it to appear like a more genuine randomized stream. There are people out there that have done that. I have a job. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. Like if that's something you care about and you're really into that and you can do the math for that, honestly, that's great. I just don't have the brain power for that. I guarantee you there is a standard for that. I don't really know what it is.
I do know on Spotify at the very least, songs that are less than 30 seconds, I've noticed, has like extremely low play counts compared to the rest of the stuff that will be on an album. So I would assume for Spotify, you need to listen to at least 30 seconds of it for it to even count as a stream at all.
That makes sense.
So yeah, there might be like more, like maybe you gotta listen for longer for Billboard to accept it, but I think generally from what I've seen, if you listen to it for at least 30 seconds, it registers as a stream.
Oh, okay.
But if the song is 31 seconds, though.
I mean, yeah, then if you listen to the whole song, then there you go. If you only listen to 5 seconds.
Like, technically at that point.
I said that very wrong. What if the song is less than 30 seconds? My bad.
Less than 30.
Well, then it's never going to chart. I mean.
But yeah, I don't know how many people are really like bopping their asses to.
What if they made a sick beat that's only 27 seconds?
Because here's the thing about it. It's actually interesting that you brought that up because as we can tell, it's very strange here now in the U.S. with all the weird stuff. But TikTok was very influential to the Hot 100. It still probably is. Again, I don't have it anymore because Orange Man and the band and whatever the hell else is going on with that. But
I've never heard of that band, Lexi. But.
Yeah, me neither. Keep it that way. But yeah, TikTok obviously influenced that, and that actually is a really good segue into. I found an article from Billboard themselves about controversies and stuff, and that songs that were accused of plagiarism on the Hot 100. Would you believe it? There's a lot. Because a lot of songs are accused of plagiarism, and sometimes that's very legitimate and very warranted, and it is plagiarism, and it is someone trying to make a quick buck. Other times, it's very funny and interestingly timed when the plagiarism lawsuit hits, because sometimes a song gets extremely, extremely popular before they get hit with a lawsuit. And at that point, you have to wonder, do they just want a piece of the pie? Are they actually that concerned about protecting what the person suing believes is their song or their property? or are they just wanting to be listed as, co-creator or co-writer, or however they list that, so that they can get in on the big buckaroonies from a popular song.
Take a little piece of that pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is a case-by-case basis, but I feel like if a song is already charting for like a couple weeks or so at the very least, and then that's when people start expressing interest in like a lawsuit, like, yeah, no, that's definitely for money's sake, not for protecting anything.
Right. Like, there's something to be said about the fact that you might not even know that it's very popular until you hear it from the charts or you hear people talking about it. But I mean, this list, just the short, I'll go through a few of them. Songs that were accused of plagiarism that did hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The Beatles, Come Together. How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees. Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. Of course, Ice Ice Baby. Who could forget that one? One of the most famous one.
How could you forget, Lexi?
Viva La Vida by Coldplay. Blurred Lines. That one was another very popular one. That was a very big court battle. Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. And then more recently, Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo. That was the one thing, the battle between her and Paramore, and people were not noting the similarities, but Olivia and her team handled that really well. They just added Hayley Williams and Josh Farrow as songwriters to that song and settled it that way. So that was a very quickly resolved thing. So want to shout out her and her team, because they did a really good job just being like, hey, yeah, you know what? We don't even want to fight. Like, I probably was inspired by this song. Let me just make you co-songwriters and we'll call it good. So
that's a cool.
Honestly, pretty Chad. Honestly, pretty Chad behavior.
That was a good move. So yeah, not always is it a bad, legal battle. Some of the other ones that I mentioned. But I just thought that was really interesting. I'm like, man, this is a pretty long list for for these songs. So as of we're recording this, as of the chart dated for February 22nd, which was yesterday, I believe.
Now they know what day we recorded. No.
Okay.
Whoa!
We're not supposed to. Redacted.
Honey,
As of
you're fine.
Redacted.
That was a joke. It was a joke.
At the time of recording this, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar sits at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It has spent 40 weeks on the chart.
40? Oh my lord.
Yes. 40 weeks on the chart. As well as Kendrick Lamar takes 4 of the top 5 spots on the Billboard Hot 100 as of right now.
Thanks, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar is just owning the world right now.
Yes.
Impressive.
And then, of course, Die With a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, that's sitting at number 4 currently. So, interestingly enough, the most weeks at number 1 on Billboard for the song, I want to say that Is
it the bar song?
I believe it is still Old Town Road.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, but it might, honestly, a bar song by Shabuzi might have overtaken it. Let's see.
Maybe. I would not be surprised if it was still Old Town Road. I remember that was charting for months back in 2019.
Okay. It looks like they are actually tied.
At this exact moment?
Dang.
Yes. A bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi, and Old Town Road by Lil Nas X featuring Billy Ray Cyrus, Billy Ray Cyrus, are tied at 19 weeks at number 1 on the Hot 100.
Okay, yeah, I guess we'll know by the time this goes live whether it got to 20 weeks or not.
Eric, you're doing research.
Which I don't think I don't think it will, because Kendrick has jumped up to the number 1 spot. So I don't believe that it will see any movement. I mean, now it could have a resurgence, so but
all right,
yes,
everybody in the comments, let's get the bars. I'm kidding.
No. No offense to Shabuzi, but I think it's really cool that it would be tied. I think that's really neat. So obviously those two songs tied for the top spot at number 1, 19 weeks on the Hot 100. In the number 3 spot, do we want to take a guess as to what song that might be?
In the number 3 spot?
Yes, you guys do know it. I know that you know it.
Bob the Builder UK remix.
That's your guess?
I mean, I wish that was it. But no. I gotta, I am trying to think. And I don't know, thinking is hard. I feel like it's something by Bruno Mars.
That's not a bad guess. Bruno's been on the charts a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like, dude just keeps doing hit after hit.
You guys are gonna hit yourself when you hear what song it is.
Is it Psy Gangnam Style?
No, it's not Gangnam Style. Because remember when Gangnam Style got popular, radio stations, yeah, they were playing it a little bit, but not much. That was all YouTube, and that was before YouTube and streams counted. Mm-hmm. So, nope, it's unfortunately not Gangnam Style.
Dang.
All right, I'm going back with my first guess. It's the Bob the Builder song.
Okay.
I think I was going to get it second guess.
Let's do. Okay, you said Bruno Mars was a good guess, so I'm going to say Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars.
Okay. It is actually All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. Spent 18 weeks at number 1.
Okay, now here's the question though.
Does not have to be concurrent. Nope, does not have to be concurrent.
Okay, doesn't have to be concurrent.
Okay, all right.
It just means it has spent 18 weeks in the position of number 1. That does not have to be.
So it's just been like two or 3 weeks over the course of like 8 years. Of
I mean, basically, yeah. If it goes number 1 in like the week of Christmas every year, yeah, she has the potential to surpass.
Is it going to pass next year for Christmas?
Yeah, she could hit number 1 this year.
She could surpass. She could surpass Lil Nas X and Shabuzi. If it goes number 1.
First she was in Fortnite.
Well, she will tie. She will tie if she has 1 week.
But if she gets it for 2 years, though.
If she has...
Or for 2 weeks, my bad.
Yeah.
2 weeks, and she'll be number 1. And then...
honestly, I kind of support it. Let's see. Mariah Carey sweep. Let's get Mariah Carey up to... Let's make history.
That would be awesome. We have a tie for number 4 between... Last Night by Morgan Wallen. I hate country music, by the way. Sorry, y'all. Shabuzi's fine. He seems like a cool dude, but I hate country music. Morgan Wallen, 16 weeks, tied with Despacito by Luis Fonsi for 16 weeks.
My sense of humor is so broken, I can't hear the word Despacito without laughing.
Sorry. And then number 5 is As It Was by Harry Styles, 15 weeks.
Cool, good song.
Which I just...
I don't think have I heard that?
It just goes like As It Was.
Yeah, I bet you
But
have.
fancier.
And then, interestingly enough, I just want to mention these because obviously every song we have said, minus All I Want for Christmas Is You, that's kind of an interesting one. Obviously, bar song Tipsy by Shabuzi, very new song. Old Town Road, that was 2019. Morgan Wallen's song, 2023. Despacito, that was in 2017, but that song was literally everywhere. As It Was Harry Styles, that was 2022. The songs that are tied for the number 6 spot, I believe. Let's see. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it'd be the number 5 spot. Excuse me.
How could you, Lex?
Tied for the number 5 spot is Uptown Funk, Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars, 14 weeks at number 1. And I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas from 2009. 2009. 14 weeks at number 1. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I won't recap the whole chart. I just thought that was
Go
really
through the entire top 100 of the top 100, Lexi.
Yeah, right now.
I'm good.
I'm good. we got like 30 more hours. We can do it.
Yeah, we got this.
But yeah, so that was the information that I had. And of course in this year they did this, and in this year they did that. I know that can be a little bit dry, but hopefully that was interesting to y'all that are listening. And I didn't know a lot of that stuff, even though I like music a lot, and I do check in with the charts and kind of just see, what's the pulse? What are people listening to? And so much country music, please, y'all. I beg, I plead. If I have to hear another song about a big red truck and beer, I'm gonna scream. Please stop.
Big red truck and a beer. There you go, Lexi.
Again, Shabuzi gets a pass. I like that song. Shabuzi seems like a cool guy, so I'm gonna give him a pass because that sounds like a fun song. But all this other crap.
I'm wholly indifferent on country music at this point in my life, but it is curious to see like just how starkly like pop music has transitioned to like being mega country. Like,
well,
right? Like, it is a little bit odd.
My theory on that, and again, I don't have data to back this up, but I think it's pretty sound. No, I don't have I don't know music theory. I think it's pretty sound, is that I think the reason why country music is charting higher and is breaking out a little bit more is because when I get in my car and I actually turn on the radio, now I live in an area, I'm not going to dox myself, but I live in an area where country music is fairly popular.
Yeah, New York.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of New York City. So the number of country radio stations is staggering. Like, it outnumbers every other genre.
Lexi, there's actually more country radio stations than people where we live. So it's odd.
You know, I wouldn't doubt that.
That does make sense.
I wouldn't doubt
sense.
that.
As someone who knows where you live, that does make sense.
But I mean, that would make a lot of sense to me, that if there are a lot more country music stations, therefore people listening to those stations, whenever you get a new song or a new album as a radio station, you're going to throw that in the rotation. And so country music, I feel like, is not coming out at the breakneck pace that more pop releases, hip hop releases are coming out. There's a lot more releases, in my opinion, from what I've seen, that are more pop, hip hop, rap, you know, a blend of different sorts of styles than just a country song. So I think that country has enough loyal fans of the genre, and the people who are making music in that genre, they're doing really well. I mean, even Post Malone pivoted sort of to country music, and he did phenomenally in pivoting to that.
Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll. Again, Post, Jelly Roll, they seem like totally nice guys. I really don't care to listen to their country stuff. I'm very sorry. No offense to y'all.
All the jelly heads in the comments.
Yeah, all the jelly heads, all the postios.
The post
they
Oreos,
seem like great people. I'm just really not interested in the country angle. But I could see why a lot of people are.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually having a conversation last night with someone about this sort of thing, where it's like, when I talk about music that I don't really like, I try not to say that like the music sucks or like this is terrible, because that's like kind of an objectively stance that I'm taking.
Right.
Whereas I prefer to talk about things more like perceptively. Like, I don't like this because X, Y, and Z. I don't want it to come off as if like it's an attack to like the artist or like the stuff that they make. It's just, you know, this style of music is not my thing.
Right.
And with that whole disclaimer out of the way, I will happily say fuck country music. I don't want to listen to it.
Yeah,
no offense to the people who make it. I just, you know, it's not for me. I don't care.
Unless,
like, I don't like
they're shitty, because there's a lot of them. So if you're a shitty artist, then full offense.
Yeah.
Again, Post Malone seems like a nice guy. I don't have anything against him. He made
good Oreos, Lexi.
Yeah. Oh, those Post Malone Oreos. So listen, I don't like Post country album, but I do love those Oreos. So you know what?
Honestly, yeah, those got to win in my book.
Try the Post Malone Oreos. If you haven't,
I feel I need to ask: are there actual Oreos,
yes,
or are we doing
Post Malone Oreos? Yes.
Post Malone Oreos. He did
put
a
an
collab.
image of them right here, Eric, and then go buy them.
Hold on. No.
They're delicious.
You are pulling a fast one. Hold on.
I'm not. No, I'm not joking.
I'm looking this up right now. Oh,
they're delicious. I'm not joking. That's what I
are they made of? Is it like
Oreo.
a caramel thing?
Yeah,
or something?
There's some caramel in the cream.
It's like
part.
caramel inside. I think
this Oreo is made of Oreo. Thank you, Jordan.
Yes, it's a regular Oreo chocolate cookie, and then there's like a vanilla shortbread type of cookie, and then it's like a caramel-ish. Is it chocolatey?
It's a salted caramel cream.
Salted caramel.
Yeah, I'm reading the description right now. Yeah, like salted caramel and shortbread flavor cream.
I love the thought that Eric immediately thought we were trying to pull a fast one about Post Malone.
You know
I
me.
genuinely thought you were doing a bit. I had no idea.
I would have stopped him if it was a bit, because I would have been annoyed.
Yeah. That should have been my first clue. I don't think my brain properly understood the idea of a Post Malone Oreo.
Yeah.
Post Malone Oreo, yeah.
We didn't think, we're like, oh, okay, and it's exactly like Gurdon was saying to me when we tried these. A lot of the other Oreo collabs, it still tastes like an Oreo. You're like, okay, it's Oreo, but it's got like a slight twist on it. These Oreos, if somebody just handed me this and it was not stamped with the Oreo name and just said, oh, try this like caramel shortbread cookie. I would not know it's an Oreo. It is a very good cookie.
Very, very tasty.
Which original
I'm gonna have
Oreos
to
are good
try
too.
it out. Honestly,
No
I
shade.
wonder if they're being sold in Canada because I have not seen them in grocery stores here.
Well, Canada's also right now going very Canada-centric, so they might not be there.
We could get him that for his birthday. Ship him the Post Maloreos.
We'll ship you one Post Maloreo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's half eaten already. Just ship me a Post Maloreo.
Broken as hell.
It's just broken. It's like a
All the
paste by the
cream
time
is
it gets to
missing.
me. It's
Gurdon just sends you the cookie. He's like, hey, buddy, I ate the cream.
This is
Sorry.
a really good cookie. You wish you could have had it.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
on that note, shout out to Post Malone. I don't like country music, but the Oreos are delicious. So shout out to Post for those. And also, you should check out Post on the Patreon because that would be fantastic.
Wow.
Okay, nobody else is going to pick it up from that?
I did
do
pick
the
it up from
segue?
it. I thought you were going to keep going.
I
Lexi.
did.
No,
I
I did
was-
the segue. I was throwing the ball and nobody caught it.
Sorry, I fumbled the ball. But no, yes, thank you to the patrons. You guys are very cool.
As always, let us know. Oh my gosh.
We're all doing great.
We're all doing. All right, Gurdon, your turn.
I had something.
Oh. We're falling apart, Lexi.
You can do it. You can do
You're
it.
fumbling in the bag right
You said
now.
you had something, Lexi. That's what I
Yes,
thought
but
you
you
were
can
saying.
do it. I was just gonna say that they should let us know if they want to hear a topic.
Oh, okay. Yes, very
True.
true. If you know of any topics that you would like to be covered, be sure to leave us a comment. As we actually, the reason why we did this specific episode was because after Lexi talked about Gwen Stefani becoming Asian, we had a lot of very nice comments basically saying they'd love to hear more about the music industry and also like the Billboard Top 100s and all that stuff. So you all made this episode happen, and if there's another episode or a topic, subject, or phenomenon that you'd like to hear discussed about and then hear your name right here, actually.
I'm gonna shout out Mirkwood579, as they said I would love an episode about Billboard charts. I haven't listened to the radio or much standard American pop music in a long time, so I think it'd be interesting. Usual music is video game arrangements, Vocaloid, Eurobeat, Japanese city pop, a word I don't want to butcher, and semi-niche musicals. So, very cool. Thank you so much, Mirkwood579. Also, Toby Fairy or Fair, I hope I didn't butcher that, 7861, also said, as a musician, I would love to hear about the ins and outs of the Billboard top charts changing. Also recommended deep dive on Syd Barrett of Pink Floyd. That would also be a good episode.
Ooh.
I have that on our list.
Maybe we'll do that in the future.
Yes, have that one on our list as a rock enjoyer myself.
Lexi, what's your favorite type of rock? Go.
Igneous.
I was gonna say igneous.
Sedimentary.
Ooh.
There you
Love
go.
them.
Likes
Love
to
them.
sleep.
Layers.
What's the other one? There's like igneous, sedimentary, and
Metamorphic.
metamorphic? Yeah.
Heavy metal.
Yeah, heavy metal.
Shiny.
Shiny rock.
And with that,
Shiny rock.
thank you again. We love hearing your guys' feedback. Thank you so much for the comments, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Not sponsored, but if Post Malone Oreos would like to send us some Oreos, I will not say no to that.